welcome to the third and probably last Your First Let's Play video. In this video I want to go over 4 tricks, tools you can use to help enhance your Let's Plays. First I want to explain how you add text in hitfilm. Because while this is a very basic thing, it's slightly more complicated than I was able to show in the previous video. But it is something that can be very useful for a lot of things. Secondly, I want to quickly show how I make my very quick intro bits. These are of course not necessary, but they are nice. Thirdly, I want to show how you can get rid of a lot of buzzing if you don't have a extremely top-notch microphone. And even if you do, you probably still want to do it because no room is without any noise. Especially not when you're dealing with computers which have a lot of fans in them. Because yes, this gets rid of that type of noise as well. And fourthly, I want to show a probably way more advanced technique than any first Let's Play really has to deal with. But this is probably the best place to show them. Basically how I record my voice and the video footage independent of each other without having a tool that actually records both on the same file, or however that works with more advanced programs. But instead how you can get all that functionality while spending no money. So let's get started on how you add text in hitfilm. Welcome back to hitfilm. So I thought, why not hit 2 birds with 1 stone? Let's explain something while at the same time working on the video it's going to begin. So we are now at the moment where I'm starting to talk about what we are going to do this video. First I want to explain how you add text in hitfilm. And to emphasize this, I want to have some text above here. So how do we do that? Well, if you want to add text in hitfilm, you'll have to do that via a composite shot. This sounds very interesting, don't worry. Well, it can be, but it really doesn't have to be. So we just click with the right mouse button anywhere, doesn't matter if it's on something or not. New composite shot. And then you can set up a lot of things. So I'm just going with this. You can set how long it will last. If you just want to do text, this really doesn't matter. Don't make it too short because then it will be annoying, but it really does not matter. You can change the name. So this will be for me 0.1. And then OK. And then you will have this, a nice composite shot thingy, which I also have multiple of. For instance, this is one more complicated that is actually this backdrop in the opening. But to 0.1. And yes, you can just close those. They don't remove from this. They are just a quick way to get back to editing them. So we are now in this. Then you click on the text logo and you can just with the left mouse button drag it out, and congratulations, you have a text box. So I'm now probably in it. So 1. So this is of course very hard to see here. Don't worry, that's because there is no real background for it. So let's make up this text a little bit. Black text with a white outline, because we have the text, how large the text is. So we made it a bit bigger. Outline. This is very useful. If you have, for instance, black letters with a white outline, That means that it will be visible in pretty much any scenario. But, well, this is just mainly if you want to edit the text. It speaks for itself pretty much. This is mainly just for how does this composite stuff work. And it's really simple, you just need to know it. Of course, now it's not in the video yet. So if you want to do that, do media, point 1. And you just drag it in here. The problem here is, well, we don't see it. There's a pretty simple reason why. This is the lowest layer, and above that is the entire screen that you see right now. So instead, I'll have to drag it up a layer. And in this case, not just one layer, because otherwise it will replace the video here. So that's no good. And I need to move it 2 up because, well, my voice is here. So now we finally have this text here. And, well, composite shots, you can use them to do some really interesting things. If you want to do really complicated stuff, then you need to do that. And for those, there can also be audio in these composite shots. But this composite shot is just some text. So we can just unlink this and remove the audio. This just kind of cleans up how things look, which I find personally pretty useful. So let's then add a nice little dissolve, so it doesn't immediately just pop up, but instead comes on slowly. First, I want to explain how you add. So that's very nice, right? Text in. And then at some point we also want to cut it short. So we then, well, I just let it play to the point where I'm done with it, where I want to move to the next point. But it is something that can be very useful for a lot of things. Secondly, I want to quickly show how... there we had a secondly. So I want things to load in now, but that can sometimes take some time. If you want to speed it up, just move the bar a very little bit. So I want the text to be until here. And then it's basically just a bit of video. That's how it behaves, the text. So cut it in 2 parts. Remove the second part. And congratulations, you now have the text. And that's basically how you do every one of these. So I hope that was useful. Let's move on to the next point. So, let's give a little crash course on how I make my intros. And also how I do my base files. So, let's say you want to do a, a Dishonored 2 Let's Play. I right here have a little bit of Dishonored 2 recorded. The very opening. And I think that could make for a pretty interesting intro bit. So let's kind of listen to it and find a point that kind of sounds pretty good. Alright, so I think I found the moment that I kind of want. And that's of course. And then to find the exact moment is always a nice bit of very tedious work. So let's see if from here it works very well. Alright, that sounds pretty good to me. Let's see if I can find the exact moment I want to cut it off. here, perhaps? Let's see how well that works. Alright, that seems pretty good, but it has a bit of a harsh cutoff, doesn't it? So, let's see if we can do something very precise here. And don't worry, you'll only have to do this once. Alright, much better, but still not quite perfect. At least not in my eyes. So I want to kind of have that cutting off slightly less abrupt. And yes, for me this is very... Yeah, there we go, that's the moment. That is exactly the type of sound that I kind of was going for. But just this visual, well, it's somewhat boring, isn't it? So let's try and do something very interesting with it. This is also the way I normally try and make my intros look a bit more interesting. So I'm going to first copy it and paste it. And now I'm going to overlay it. And I'm going to unlink this because otherwise I now have to... Yeah. But, well, now the visual hasn't changed because, well, instead of we seeing this one, we now see this one, but it's the exact same. So, I like to use the blend tool for this. This kind of is how it will try to make of these two images one image. And you can do this for things like lens flare, for instance. If you have an image of lens flare and you paste it over this, you can basically use blend to make some lens flare. But if you use the same ones, you can get some very interesting results. And yes, this is just a lot of trial and error. So I think that I like this one right now here. But let's try and do something a bit more interesting than just this. And well, let's start off with a fade to color. And let's start this one just around there. And then do a nice little dissolve. And now that gets the combined result of and then let's copy it another time and place it over it again. And now this makes it very bright. But, well, we don't want very bright now, do we? So, let's see if we can find another type of blend that looks good with the two combined. So, I'm of the personal opinion that this kind of looks cool and interesting-ish. So now we get the combined result of but now we still have a not moving image for a lot of the video, a lot of the intro. So let's do a very similar thing at the top of this. And now we can get this. So now it's pretty moving at both of the beginning and end, but this one is still pretty boring. So I'm going to try and make this a bit more interesting as well. So now we get the result of. Now that's the type of intro that I'm very happy with. So that's the video part done. And so now I don't have to keep this pretty long part that also has all of this in it. The game trying to open and a lot of loading because, well, Dishonored 2 is not made the best, at least not on the most basic point. Not in the engine kind of way. So let's export the content. We quickly export this and then, well, then we make the last steps to actually make this the base file that I normally use to build my Let's Play videos on. Alright, now we have this file. Basically, now we have the video. And now what we do is we remove this. And everything we had gets removed. And I remove those because, well, we don't need those anymore. Because I here have the intro video. Okay, I don't exactly know what it was doing there, so I'm just going to make a new one. And hope that one makes sense. Alright, so now we have exactly the opening I just made. There's but one problem with this right now. Isn't a video like this supposed to have a little icon saying what episode it is? Well, that's what I want, and I don't want to make that every time I make a an episode of, well, for this Dishonored 2. So I make a little thingy called episode number. And over here I make a nice box that would be able to fit in a fair number of episodes. And just to make this look nice, which has absolutely no real use to do this, but because I don't want this video to be in the composite shot, but this does allow me to. Now I can use this to basically pick out a color. And I forgot something important. This needs to be selected, otherwise it literally does nothing. So we improve the size of this. And well, doesn't that just come out close to perfectly? And episode number. But of course, this doesn't quite look right, does it? Well, I'm going to do some more work on this anyway, because I'm not quite happy with how that looks. But now we have the episode number over this, but we have it over it the entire time. So that's not quite what I want either. So I wanted to start stowing up slightly after, at about this point. And then we also give this around 1 second dissolve time. And of course this can be removed because, well, it's just text again. That's about the point I want it to be gone. Bam, and bam. And that basically is the intro then. And then we just save it as Dishonored 2 base. And then you can just later load in the Dishonored 2 base. Put in also add another video. Then put under and possibly put under that your voice if you didn't record that on the same thing. And start editing. And then just make very sure if you save it, that you save it as something else, that you don't replace your base file. That is pretty much my guide on how you make an intro. This took way too long, so hopefully I cut out a lot of this, so this part is not 20 minutes long. Oops. Yeah, this is something that I like to spend a bit of time on because, well, this will be seen probably throughout your entire playthrough. Quick little side note, you can use this in the options. You can also export frame. So, if you want to make a nice little title screen, well, this is the way I do it. So, yeah, maybe you can do that if you enjoy that.
Fun thing. Capturing this absolute horrible noise was a lot of work.
Alright, let's stop that immediately. Ow, my ears. Oh boy, that was horrible. So yeah, let's fix that. And the program we are going to use to fix that is Audacity. So, the problem is, we can't load an MP4 file, which is what every video will be recorded as. Audacity can't work with that. So, instead, you'll have to find some way to convert it into a WAV file. You can do this either with an online converter or any video converter that you can download. Fun fact, the program I used for a very long time was in fact called any video converter. Just use any program like that to convert your MP4 file into a WAV file. And then you get this. And, well, all of this, then it's so wide everywhere, that means that you have a lot of buzz.
Fun thing. Capturing this absolute horrible noise.
Yeah, we got it. Okay. So, I didn't just capture it with the game under it as well. And this is something that you'll need to make sure. You need to make sure that you also capture just that buzzing without any game or other sounds under it at the same time. For me, for instance, Dishonored, this was very simple because the loading screens had no sound in them. maybe not great game design, but it was a perfect moment to just capture some footage, to just capture some of the buzzing. If that doesn't work, you might have to Alt-tab out of the game and maybe use the balance thingy, the volume mixer, to just slow completely kill the noise for a second. And I personally always take about 10 seconds, but that is far more than you really need. So yeah, then you have this absolutely lovely sound. And as you can see, the entire thing is just the buzz. There's no other sounds under it, which is exactly what you need. So, to start getting rid of that horrible buzz, you simply go to Effects and, well, to me it's ruisonderdrukking. To you it will probably be noise suppression or something like that, which will get you a screen like this. And yes, mine is in Dutch, which is very annoying for a tutorial, sorry. So there are two steps to this. One is you get basically you get a sample of what you want to remove, and after that you can remove every form of that sample from the entire audio thing you have selected. So we have this part selected, so that will be our sample. And now we select the entire thing. Make sure the entire thing is selected. I mean, double clicking will most of the time get the entire thing, but if you have a cut somewhere in the middle or something strange happens, then you might not have it all selected, so maybe Control A might be better. So back to Effects, Noise Suppression, and we have our sample loaded in, so let's get rid of this. And if we listen to it now...
One thing, capturing this absolute horrible noise was a lot of work.
So it's still not great. I mean, even the strongest programs can't turn absolute shite into something that is not poop. But you can listen to it now. And that's more than you can say in advance. So we now have this entire thing, and now we export it. So horrible buzz removed. But now that we have the better audio, sadly that doesn't immediately mean that the audio for the video is fixed. Because, well, we just have a fixed raw audio file. So we go to this, we load in the video and the audio with the buzzing removed, and now we have these two files. And, well, they should be exactly as long as the other. So we now just place them under each other. And as you can see, everything pretty much lines up. But you can't just play it like this, because then you get...
One thing, capturing this absolute horrible noise.
Yes, that's great, lovely, isn't it? Okay, so you can just place it over it, and, well, then you're pretty much done.
One thing, capturing this absolute horrible noise was a lot of work.
You can actually do that noise removal a couple of times, but, well, as you have probably noticed, the quality of just speaking has also gone down. So I normally stick with only once, so the quality of the rest of the audio doesn't go down too much. But if it's too bad for your taste, then you can do it a couple of times. Just a minor warning, if you have very long videos, for some reason sometimes it can be slightly off. The audio and the video can get slightly desynced. And if you're looking at it just one under the other, it might look absolutely horrible, like How people will see this, people will hear it, oh god, it's horrible. Don't worry too much about that. Really, you can here easily see in the milliseconds if it is exactly lined up or not. If people are just watching a video, they won't see it. Really, it's something you do not need to worry about ever. But yeah, this is how you turn a absolute horrible nightmare into something that is not an absolute horrible nightmare. Because, oh boy, oof. Yeah, that is, Yeah, that was quite something. And now for the last and probably most simple of the 4 things I was going to explain in this video. How to record audio and visuals separately. Well, you mostly just kind of do it. As you can see, I just use Audacity to record my voice without recording it with Shadowplay. But of course you need a way to sync it up. You can try and sync it up by, for instance, saying, I'm going to shake the mouse now. But that's very inaccurate. The best way I found for doing it is by using something to... Well, this is the reason why I have Shadowplay on hold to record voice mode. That way I can just press a button, this one for me, and now you hear a annoying echo. So that way I can just easily sync it up with my voice, but there's an even better way of doing it. It's to have a clear click, so you can basically sync that one click up. For a very long time I used a pen for this, but somewhat more recently I've been using my little fidget cube, which is, well, it's a very nice thing to have, but for this is it just perfect. The nice light switch can make a very nice clear, which is just perfect for syncing them up. I mean, 2 of those clicks, like this, is just a perfect way of syncing up the audio and the visuals, which allows me to do nice things like this. Dovakin, nauwelijks zien, dat is waarin. Dovakai, dovas cool, hakitahan, was vaal, hakitohan, paran, nauwelijks aanzien, drosaan. Dovakin, vagahin, dovakahan, mundraal. I love that song. And yeah, this really is just the easiest step there is in this entire process. And the best part about doing it like this is that you can also use the noise removal. And another great thing that you can use, and I'll hopefully be able to show that now, is... And yeah, I now went over to holding a button all the time for that. So I can just select all this and noise removal. And now I remove that little bit of buzz that I get everywhere because of just the fans in my computer. And the other great part about it is I can normalize it, which basically means I can expand it a little so it's a bit louder. So, oh yeah, of course, I had my very loud singing, which, well, hopefully I'll be able to just do it like this and select this part and then say, hey, could you please make it so that I don't blow people away with my singing? I mean, if I can blow people away with my singing, that would be great, but I would prefer it if I could blow people away with my singing because my singing is that great, not because it just is 5 times as loud, because, well, technically that is still blowing people away, but, well, it's slightly less positive. But yeah, that's basically how you do this. If I remember, I'll leave that in. So, normally I do it at the beginning of the recording because, well, now I will show you, because, Well, right here we are in the part where I am basically trying to synchronize the two. But the problem kind of is that, well, it's somewhere in the middle of the video that I did the clicking. Oh, that's the wrong one. So yeah, now somewhere in the middle there is a clear click. But I don't know exactly where it is, so that is nice looking. There it is. Perfect. So then I move to the exact frame where the click is. And as you can see, it's one particular frame, which makes it really easy to sync up. So I'm going to make a cut in it here because, well, that's just a slightly easier way of then syncing them up. And then here. Did I move past it? Oh. No, I'm just an idiot. Because this audio thing is still off. There we go. And there we once again have the exact frame where it syncs up. Now we have both those clicks like this. That's pretty much perfect, right? Of course, they don't sync up exactly here, so then we just cut out the part where nothing kind of happened. So, bam bam. Remove that. Move that forward. And, well, because we have a cut in the middle here, also move this forward. Come on. There we go. Snap. And, well, now I just go to the regular cutting out the parts where I say nothing or I said something wrong. But yeah, that's pretty much how I do all of my recording stuff. So, I hope this was useful to anybody. If I helped you, please let me know. If something wasn't clear, please let me know. If none of this makes sense, please let me know so I can maybe do it over. If you didn't understand one thing, I might reply to you or I will make a video. You will definitely get something. And yeah, I hope I've been to some use to somebody, because that would be really cool. So, thank you for joining me in this little series where I basically show off how I do the stuff that I do. It's been great fun, even if it was a lot of work, and oh boy, these videos are becoming way too long now. Whatever series I do, the videos always become longer the further in the series we go, don't I? And now I'm rambling. I hope this has been of any use. This has been Vinix, saying farewell.